All right, MMA fans, I'm here with PFL Challenger Series fighter Kaytlin Neil. Hello, Kaytlin. How are you today?
Awesome. How are you doing?
I'm fine. Thanks for asking. Before we start speaking about your upcoming fight, is your nickname Katniss a Hunger Games reference?
Yep.
Oh.
I got it from the Hunger Games. So
Okay. I was a little bit worried about asking that, but I got it right, so I'm happy about that. What is it that you like about Katniss?
so my friends actually started calling me Katniss before I even fought because they were reading the books. And then once I started fighting, the movies came out and I kind of looked like Jennifer Lawrence in the movies, and it was just a really fitting nickname. And one of my teammates is like, "Hey Kaytlin, I just went and saw the Hunger Games movie and you really look like Katniss in the movie. So that should be your fight nickname." And I was like, okay. So it kind of just stuck.
Yeah, it suits you for real. I was watching your Instagram stories, and may I ask you what's this thing about backward walking?
Yeah, so I had two knee surgeries back to back. So and that was like really tough on me. And then I found the knees over toes guy, and I did his program for a full year, and he really like helped me rehab my knees. And one big thing in his programs is walking backwards. And so I would just post myself walking backwards a lot, and then a lot of other people started doing it too. And it helps like reverse out knee pain. It helps make your knees really healthy, increase blood flow, and all this stuff. So it's funny that like such a simple thing of like walking backwards is like so good for your knees.
How are your knees right now?
They're awesome now. I haven't had any problems with them since I did the knees over toes guy program. So we're doing good now.
I'm glad to hear that. And yeah, I'm glad to hear that since you're scheduled to take on Griet Eeckhout on February 24th. How are you preparing for this fight?
Yeah, so I just got down to Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm training with Syndicate Martial Arts, John Wood there, and the Syndicate, which is the women fight team there. I'm just in the gym every single day, grinding away, and yeah, just sticking to my game plan, what I like to do, and I think this should be a good fight for me.
You're coming off a victory in Invicta in September. You totally dominated your opponent on that occasion. Is that the same way you think your Challenger Series fight will go?
I kind of think so, but I think so. I kept the fight standing on Invicta because my last opponent was a jiu-jitsu girl, so I know her one shot at beating me would like maybe catch me in a submission, and I wasn't sure how my ground game tested up against hers, so I didn't even mess with the ground game. But I think with my upcoming fight, I will be able to dominate not only on the feet but also on the ground. So we might see a couple takedowns. I don't know, test it out, see how that goes. But yeah, I expect to be putting on a pretty dominant performance like that again.
Do you usually study your opponents?
Yeah. So I've watched probably like 5 or 6 of her fights now.
Oh, okay. And may I ask you, your opinion on your next opponent?
Yeah, so she's a little bit shorter than me. She's kind of like a brawler. Like she'll kind of rush in, throwing like wild overhands. She I think she does that just so she can get in, because if she's a shorter opponent, she needs to kind of like move to get in or like rush or blitz them. She also likes going to the ground and working her ground and pound, which she has a really good ground and pound. She has a couple TKOs from that. So as long as I'm aware of that, I'm pretty good. My takedown defense is pretty awesome. So I think it'll be a really good matchup.
You have competed across different promotions, in the UFC, in the Ultimate Fighter edition, in Bellator, Invicta. Do you think that your experience will be the major factor in the upcoming fight?
Oh yeah. I mean, with going through the Ultimate Fighter, that was one of the hardest things I've ever been through, like mentally. And so I think fights from like there on out are not necessarily like a cakewalk, but comparatively to like the Ultimate Fighter, it's going to be like a cakewalk. But yeah, I think my experience, it'll show again in this fight.
Are you excited to be part of the, you know, the Professional Fighters League seems to be implementing the women's flyweight division this year. Right now you're competing on the Challenger Series, but still, in case of victory, and if they will give you a contract, you will be part of the inaugural women's flyweight division. Are you excited about that? Sorry, it was a long question.
Yeah, no, I'm stoked about it. I mean, I love that they are building the division and they're needing a champion and a face for that. And I think I fit the bill. So I'm ready to be the face of the 125 pounders at PFL. I also like money and they actually pay their fighters. So I'm stoked for that. So I'm like way happy to be with PFL.
Are you also taking into consideration that in case of victory, you will have to fight 5 times this year, you know?
Yeah, so I think it's spread out between 2 years, but I'm excited about that because then I don't have to like sit around being like, oh, when is my next fight going to be? I don't know, like what should I do? Like, so I'm glad that I just have like all the fights like planned out and we're ready to go. I'll be ready, and I think it's a good like situation for me because I'm a type A. I like planning. I like knowing what's coming up, and so I think it'll be good.
You told me that the Ultimate Fighter was your toughest test, sorry, to date. What do you recall from that experience, and what are your takeaways from that experience?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing was just being put in such an uncomfortable environment where you're literally living with the people you're fighting. And I think that was like, holy crap, like this is so weird. I'm like sitting there eating breakfast with my opponent that I'm going to be fighting in like 2 days. So I think that part was just like mentally challenging because you had to see your opponent. You saw that they're a human, like an actual human, and not just some random person you're going to be like fighting, because it's kind of like easy to disconnect the two if you haven't met the person you're fighting before. And also my dad died while I was on the show. And so that was like really mentally draining for me. So I'm glad that I'm not going to have to go through that while I'm going through this fight camp. And I think, yeah, I think after that experience, like anything else is like going to be way less pressure for me.
I'm sorry to hear that, and my condolences for your loss. Is there anything at all you regret from the tough experience?
I mean, the only thing I regret is not winning my semifinal fight. But other than that, you know, I'm pretty happy with the experience. I'm happy with the way it played out. I thought I like handled myself really well considering the conditions, and I love meeting Amanda Nunes, and all the people on Team Nunes were so awesome. So it was a really cool experience for me.
I like your mindset and of course your positivity. Do you have any last messages?
I mean, the only thing I have to say is make sure you tune in February 24th. It's going to be a dominant performance, and I'm excited to be the new face of PFL.
Thank you for giving us a little bit of your time today. Best of luck with your upcoming fight, and hopefully I will hear again from you in the future.
All right, thanks. It's nice meeting you.
Have a nice day. Bye-bye.